Hey guys, it's Chelsa Messenger with Picks and Parlays. We're talking college hoops because it is March and everyone should be sharpening their skills when it comes to college basketball. We've got a promo code. The code is MAD, M-A-D, for 20% off the entire site at picksandparlays.net. Good thing for us, we've got an expert on hand to help us do that. We've got Kurt Alexander to break down some of these games of the ACC tournament. Kurt, we're starting with Wake Forest and Notre Dame. Notre Dame is -8 here, total of 141.5. Initial thoughts when it comes to these two teams squaring off?
Well, initially I looked at this line and I saw Notre Dame favored by 8, and I wanted to jump straight up on Notre Dame and lay the 8 points. But they're coming off a huge win against Florida State. And before that, prior to that win against Florida State, they had lost 4 in a row. Now that Florida State game, it was the first half that continued into the second half. So basically they jumped up on Florida State, 16 points, half-point lead. And in the second half, they kind of cruised, held on to a 10-point lead, ended up winning the game by 10. But when you look at the game a little closer, you try to find out, like, how did they dominate this game? Well, the shooting percentage was about the same. You look at the free throw percentage, and that's where the difference was. Notre Dame in that game was actually 28 for 34 from the line against Florida State. And that was the difference in the game. When you look at Notre Dame's last 4 games combined, they didn't have 34 free throw attempts combined. That's Louisville, Syracuse. If you combine all those games, they didn't have 34 free throw attempts. They averaged between 8 and 11. So that's a big, big difference right there in the points. Now, when you look at Wake, Wake's only won 1 game in the last month and a half. They won 1 game in the whole month of February. It's really hard to get behind Wake here, but they are 10-10 against the spread. And like I said, you have Notre Dame that's coming off that big win against Florida State. So this is a great letdown spot in a neutral site game to take Wake with the points.
Oh, man. Let me tell you, I took Florida State last game against Notre Dame, and that was a painful game to watch because the thing about Notre Dame is if they're hitting their threes, they take the most threes in the ACC. So if they're hot, they can contend with the best of teams, as we saw against Florida State, even though I would say Florida State was not playing the best of defense. But it's also, they kind of live and die by the 3. So if they're not hitting the threes in that game, they can probably lose to anyone. And that's why they only won. Well, I guess they won 10 games in this season. But yeah, I think it's hard to back teams when they live and die by the 3 ball because you're really, playing roulette with them. And that game, I think they started off 6 for 10 from the 3-point line, which is uncommon for most teams. So that's kind of my take on Notre Dame. I had a total of 141.5. Any leanings there?
Yeah, I looked at this total. I'm actually leaning towards the over. Like I said, this is a neutral site game. So, when you look at these the last 3 games for each team on the road, Wake Forest is averaging 62, but giving up 82. And on the other side, Notre Dame averaging 71, giving up 80. That gets us over the 141. I think these two will get us over that total.
Notre Dame is firing away from the 3-point line and making some of those. It should get some of those points in a hurry. That's going to do it for our ACC basketball talk for now. Great stuff from Kurt Alexander. As always, Kurt, thanks for joining us.